hello, welcome back to NPTEL online course on research methodology for planning and architectural studies. So, today we are at lecture number 12 where we will discuss about the bibliometric analysis. So, in our last lecture I have told you about different typology of literature review, starting from a traditional way of doing the literature review, systematic literature review, meta analysis and bibliometric analysis. So, we will try to understand how they are different and the usefulness of such kind of approach. So, in this particular lecture what we are going to learn. So, what is bibliometric analysis? We will understand the concept of it, then different techniques of bibliometric analysis, then we talk about two important components of it. One is performance analysis, which is part of bibliometric analysis, and also the science mapping. And then also I will give you some demonstration of bibliometric tools, how we can actually use those tools, and many of them are open source. So, that you do not need to subscribe for that. So, you have to just acknowledge those sources while you are using it. Now, what is bibliometric analysis? So, in this case bibliometric analysis summarizes the large quantities of bibliometric data to present the state of intellectual structure and emerging trend of a research topic. So, this is again nothing but a part of review process only, where we try to understand the existing knowledge or state of art in the literature. And what is bibliometric data? So, that is very important for us. So, bibliometric data refers to the information about publication. The catch is here, the other than their research content. So, that means in a paper, if you say that we have discussed that in a paper there is something called title, there are certain authors information, and then you have those kind of abstract, then you have introduction, methodology and different sections. So, in this particular case the bibliometric data is the overall like information about the paper title, the author names, author's affiliation, then that particular journal, the volume number, the impact factor of the journal, all such information, when it was published, the location. So, in such cases we are not going into discuss the content within it. So, bibliometric data is limited to that. So, say for example, it is year of publication, author's detail, citation, type of publication, whether it is journal, book chapter, conference proceedings and others like working paper, then author's affiliation, then author's keyword, because each paper we normally give some keywords, and this is nothing but the search string which will help to identify the keyword. So, normally in keyword we also have limited options, like normally journal to journal it will specify that okay, you can use up to 5 or 6 keywords, and you have to be smart enough to put the right keyword which will lead to your paper, because when a researcher will search about a topic, that should easily identify your paper through the keyword. So, keyword is not like that we take up any such kind of word or abbreviation from my paper and put it. So, you should give it whatever the key points, or you can say that USP of your paper. So, you put it in the keyword, right. Now, in this case what we are doing, it is a quantitative analysis of a written publication. It involves large data set, published literature on a specific topic of interest. So, filtering of your paper that you want to review finally, that anyway you need to do. This is after that, when you have your data set fixed, then you can do this particular analysis. So, it provides statistical insight into the emerging trend, number of publications on a specific topic and interrelationship between them based on their bibliometric data. So, this is very interesting. First of all, like if you want to do something on the impact of COVID-19 on foreign trip. So, if that is the overall topic, in last 2-3 years there are good number of papers that deal with this. So, different kind of study that has been done, where they have interviewed people, they have interviewed the operators, etc., to understand the impact of this pandemic or COVID-19 on the foreign trip selection. So, if that is the case, then you will get a list of papers first of all, and then you will find some of the critical thing that if there is something mentioned that the most of the papers are from this particular country, or in the paper most of the papers are mentioning about few countries where there is more restriction, or there were certain kind of other few protocols. So, you will get familiarity with that, so that it can give you a better understanding on overall aspect. Now, in the process of bibliometric analysis, we also do like performance analysis and then science mapping. So, these are two important terminology that as researcher we should know. So, what is performance analysis? It examines the contribution of research constituent, and then science mapping is little deeper into it, the relationship between the research constituent. So, what is research constituent? So, it is a new terminology for you. So, let us understand the research constituent includes all the components that I have just mentioned. It may be authors, it may be institution, it may be countries, it may be journal, or it may be anything that you can say that some parameters that you discuss or decide you can put into it. So, in this case, when you go for performance, we just try to see that how many citations, or maybe if a paper is getting high citation in quick time. So, that means probably that is something very emerging, and when you try to examine further that this paper is being cited. So, all such kind of citing articles, they are also talking about similar kind of things. So, then you go for some kind of further cross tabulation, other further analysis, where you try to identify that commonalities among all those papers in their approach or in their findings. In terms of the bibliometric data, here we are not going to go for the content, the results they are reporting. If it is something that all of them are talking about a country X Y Z, so probably that can be interpreted that this country has certain restriction or certain protocols, and that is why people were afraid, or they were like not really ready to go to that particular country as a foreign trip. Now, performance analysis, what we normally look at. So, publication related metrics, we look at it that for this particular paper or the journal, that what is the metrics. So, there are certain thing called citation, there are certain thing called impact factor, there is something called H index. So, we will also discuss that in subsequent slide. Citation related metrics, that so if paper is highly cited, and then also citation over time. So, normally this is a common phenomena. If you published a research which is very emerging and very timely, you may expect the citation very quickly, if your paper is one of the first kind. Otherwise, the normal trend after publication. So, normally your publication will get the higher citation after 1 or 2 years. So, immediately probably why it is so, because the moment it is out, somebody will review and then cite your work and then submit it to a journal. So, it will take some time. So, normally third year is a peak, you can say. After that, maybe there will be a certain drop in citing that article, if it is just a case study based research. But if it is a fundamental research, if it is contributing to a new theory, so then this graph will always be increasing. So, it all depends, like this is just a overall idea, I am just sharing what I have observed. Then we have publication and citation related matrix. So, where in the science mapping we have citation analysis, we further try to identify the relation. Then co-citation, that all papers, say there is a paper published on a topic X, and then A, B, C, D, they are 4 other papers who are citing that paper X. So, then in that case we try to identify the relationship. So, that is called co-citation analysis. This way you can also identify the gap, or maybe the emerging trend, that now this is probably the trend of doing the research. So, maybe in recent times you have witnessed some of the papers that is coming highlighting that okay, people are talking about the role of chat GPT in research writing, or role of chat GPT in doing this, doing this, doing this. So, it is all about talking about AI and possible implication. So, this is something now for last say 1 or 2 years is very emerging topic, and people are writing their article in different aspects. So, for some paper that is talking role of chat GPT to take a medication decision, that okay, people are using it to identify that okay, based on my symptoms and all, what kind of medicine I should take. So, in all such cases I am not going to discuss the good or bad of that particular GPT. So, but in the same time what was my intention to quote this is just to tell you that okay, this is something emerging and people are writing on it, people are doing research on it. Then there might be something called this is your bibliographic coupling. So, in this case also you try to see the cross referencing and all, co-word analysis and co-authorship. So, co-word or co-occurrence of keyword analysis is something that you try to find out the keyword that is being mostly used, by which you can create some sort of word cloud, where like a word which is being repeatedly used in the paper or in the keyword of publication, say 100 publication, and in all 100 papers this is something happening. So, it is some sort of frequency, you can say that all 100 papers are citing this particular quote. So, that is something is very important, or maybe somewhere it is just being mentioned in one paper, probably that is not that important. Now, publication related matrix, what are the things that we normally look at? The total number of publication in a particular journal, when we select a journal for the review, number of contributing authors. So, it is also important that whenever you see a paper like a fundamental paper being contributed by many authors, they are all like attached with good affiliation and all. So, there is some sort of believe in it, but at the same time there are other few consequences as well. If there are too many authors in a paper, then probably understanding the viewpoints and other thing that may challenge. So, we will discuss that in other lecture where we talk about those kind of things, that authorship, the corresponding author, because these are some few questions that is always being there with the researcher mind. So, I will take up those kind of questions and I will try to answer in that presentation. Then sole author publication. So, whenever there is something called a single author publication, so that is a individual perspective, if it is on some kind of concept giving or something like that. So, that is something there. Co-authored publication also, like how many are authored by many, number of active years of publication. So, since when that journal is publishing the paper, then productivity per year of that publication. So, these are few of the publication related matrices. Then citation related matrix is for that total citation received for that particular journal or the paper, average citation per publication. So, when you go for a journal, then there will be a total citation, and then if there are so many publications, so per publications what is the average citation. So, in this case that will also give you something called impact factor, because when you have like total number of paper published and total citation received in a journal, that is going to give you the impact factor. So, that means it is total citation divided by total number of document published, and the time frame is given for last 3 years or 5 years. So, in that case the journal matrices in their side, they will show you the impact factor and also 5-year impact factor. So, both are important, because this impact factor is not a static thing, it is dynamic, because it may increase, it may also drop depending on how the frequency of publication in that journal and also the journal citation that received in that particular publication. Now, publication and citation related matrix, the number of cited publication, proportion of cited publication that okay, it is not that a paper is published in a journal and then immediately we will start getting the citation. So, that means say for a journal, if all of a sudden there is new acceptance or new published document, so maybe that may affect the per paper citation, because it is adding to the denominator of the impact factor calculation, but over time it will gain it. So, in this case the proportion that okay, if there is total 100 papers that is being published in that journal and out of that 20 papers are having that citation. So, this is also giving you some sort of idea that whether this journal is good, should we consider or should we look for something others. Citation per cited publication is CCP is another matrix of it, and also the H index. So, H index is also nowadays a good indicator many a times for evaluation of a student, or maybe for the profession. So, for any such kind of academic upgrade or the promotion. So, this will be something people can also look at for this kind of H index. So, how H index is calculated? So, H index is calculated by calculating or counting the number of publication for which an author has been cited by other authors at least that same number of times. So, let us understand by example. Say an H index 17 means first of all the author have at least 17 paper published and each of them are having 17 citation. So, that means if I say H index 2, I may have say 10 papers, but in that case H index 2 means that at least 2 of my publications are having citation or that being cited by other authors at least 2 times each. So, my say paper 1 is cited say 4 times, my paper 2 is cited paper 2 is cited 2 times, paper 3 is cited 1 times. So, in such cases see total citation probably it is 7, but H index will be 2 because 2 papers and then at least they are cited 2 times. The moment you want to have say some kind of idea of H index 3, so that means even if it will go to 4, it will not increase. So, that at least the third paper or any other paper should reach to at least getting the 3 citations. So, hope these things is clear. So, you can also check it with the other different authors or in the publication that how things are working in that. Now, coming to the science mapping. So, citation analysis is something where citation reflect the intellectual linkages between the publications, and also it is important for one publication cite others. So, in this particular case that if you are working in a right track, the topic is very relevant and the contribution is also reaching to the readers. So, then you will get the citation very quickly. So, that means it is having some sort of also some credibility. Using citation one can analyze most influential publication in a research field to gain understanding of the intellectual dynamics of that field. So, that means if you find a paper which is just published say maybe 6 months ago and now it is started getting 100 plus citations. So, that means it is very important and emerging, but at the same time also we need to look further that even if it is 100 citation, if you click on that 100 citation, who are citing it, that is also equally important. If that paper is being cited in some papers which is being published in a good journal, so the credibility is much more than just citing here and there. So, in that case like you have to be careful, you should not get amazed or influenced by the total citation, but also you need to see that which are the papers that are citing where they are published, because that is going to give some more credibility into that overall search. Co-citation analysis is that works on the assumption that publications cited together are thematically similar So, that means in this case two publications that are connected when they co-occur in the reference list. So, that means if you see that two papers they are looking at the similar kind of references. So, that means they are also talking about similar kind of approach. So, this is something you can do. It helps in doing a thematic cluster of the paper, that okay, in my overall aspect. So, this is something talking about the topic that I am looking for. Okay, I will show you with example, and then in this case also it will give idea about the highly cited publication, and then it can build the knowledge foundation in your thing. Now, what is bibliographic coupling? So, it works on the assumption that two publications sharing common references are also similar in their content. It divides the publication into thematic cluster and shared references. So, this is something again see that okay, for last 5 years a particular a group of authors they are trying to evolve with certain idea. So, it's some sort of things is very common. So, you can go into this. It also uncovers the broad spectrum of the themes and it latest development by highlighting the recent and niche publication. So, this is something also important, that okay, that particular improvement, the particular development in the type of research through this publication, and the bibliographic coupling can help you out. Now, coming to the co-word analysis or co-occurrence analysis, here we are doing the analysis based on the author's keyword, where we talk about the title, the wording in that particular title or abstract or the main body. It works on the assumption the words that frequently appear together have a thematic relationship. So, if it is having more uses, that okay, so if in last few years if you take all the papers, medical science, travel, trip, etc., and if you find that COVID-19 it is repeating again and again. So, that means it is something very important to be considered during that phase, whether you can get COVID-19 paper in highly like Nature publication, where it is talking about the virus and virology approach, and at the same time you get it for this particular typical mood swing behavior during the COVID lockdown. So, in all such cases those kind of keyword will appear again and again, and depending on the analysis we can identify. It also helps in elaborating the thematic clusters and co-citation analysis and bibliographic coupling. So, one through the references of similar nature, and then it is keyword which is of similar nature. It can also inform future research direction, so that you can identify okay, these are the keywords that is being used and that has certain importance in this particular field, and then you can look into it. You can redefine your research question and you can search your research accordingly. Co-authorship analysis, here we are trying to see the collaboration between the authors, so that it is a the institute to institute, country to country, how things are connected. The scholar that collaborate form a network. So, in this case whose study can help develop the undertaking in the research field. So, definitely in that collaboration there is some kind of things happening. I have gone through some of the papers. So, where you can identify that okay, so the effect of COVID-19 on the trip behavior, the study where like it is contributing different country perspectives. So, the researcher from say India, researcher from China, researcher from Japan. So, many country the authors they contribute to share their findings, even that is possible at that particular time. So, this is something where you can see the co-authorship analysis. Then also in this case you can say the mapped across different periods of time, and also you can identify the trajectory that okay, that collaboration how things are happening. Now, coming to the bibliometric tools that where you can do this, you have certain open source like BibExcel, Pajek, GP, then SciMat. Was Viewer is one of the common tool that being used in recent times, and also the Infranoda. So, there are others also. So, as because it is just for the education purpose I am showing you something. So, there is nothing wrong to refer other such kind of software or the tools. Okay. So, these are very commonly used tool that I am just referring. Now, say for example, after analyzing the co-occurrence study, say the topic is on transit oriented development, and then this is the overall clustering or thematic area that is coming up. So, transit oriented development is one thematic, then you can have the land use, you can have built environment, you can also have impact. Okay. So, these are broad few cluster that is happening, and through this network analysis we can also identify the gap or understand the importance of that particular word. So, this is something like where you can get it from your type of information that you fit in. It may be the keywords from the title, it may be keywords from the abstract. So, that you confine and you can do. So, let us understand this whole process with this particular live demonstration. So, you just need to open this kind of web of science that I have referred. You do not need to really subscribe it, and here how you can identify. So, here we have used the and operators who have transit oriented development that we need to search, and in this case definitely this is the topic search we are doing, it is not the journal search. We click on search and then it will come to 943, which includes all these particular words. So, you can say transit oriented development in all this paper, either in title or in you can say that it is having all three words together. If you only write transit oriented, then probably you may get something more into it. Now, after that you have the filtration. So, you can just select that okay, if I want to do it for last 4 years or 5 years, we just select, and then we can also select for even more. So, in this case like we are selecting the paper for last 10 years, and when you refine it, the paper that is being published 841. So, it is not that less number. So, that means the work that has been done in last 10 years is actually maximum. Then you can apply another filter as well, and then finally you just take or export this data all RIS format. So, in this case again what you want to do, all 841 papers that you want to download, then you just download this particular paper in your computer. So, that is the file where it is the RIS file that is being downloaded. Now, you just install this VOS viewer, this is open source, you can easily download it. This is the interface where you have to create that particular thematic map, and then you just create the map based on the bibliographic data. So, you create in this case select the second option, and then you go to next, and in this case you just import the file that you just downloaded from Clarivate. So, this RIS file that you just downloaded, you just upload it. After that you have to select the type of thematic mapping that you are looking at. So, it is a co-occurrence and we use the keyword. Now, here if you see the co-occurrence, at least it will create it when it is being the frequency is say 5 times it is being there out of all these papers. So, in this case you can say the total keyword is 3340, and when you say 10, so at least 127 such kind of items will generate, which is at least being cited for the 10 times. So, here you can see the transit oriented development, that is the most because that is in the title, but other things like land use and the impact, then short form of transit oriented like TOD, then walking, subway, metro, these are being all there. So, it is having the occurrence 3, but if you see that okay, I want to go for something more. So, I can increase to 15, and then you can see that it is now the 88 items that is being shared, and then the occurrence, the minimum occurrence is now increased to 15. So, when you run it, so then you will get the particular this kind of map what I have presented in that particular slide. So, here you can see that it is forming some clusters, and there you have transport, and then you can really play with that, with the size, with a particular cluster, you can go into detail, then you can identify those kind of links, then all such kind of things you can do. So, which is going to give you that okay, in the field of transit oriented development. So, these are also talked about, these are the keyword, and then that can help you out to do your literature in an effective way. So, that means when you talk about the transit oriented development, you also need to talk about the built environment, transport land use integration, then impact, and then you can also see that okay, the other what. And here also you will find that in CT that okay, maybe the China is repeating, and the size of this particular bubble is nothing but that kind of frequency, the occurrence, the number of occurrence. So, there you have all these option to select the cluster. So, by default it is going to give you this kind of 4 clusters. So, you can change it accordingly, and those kind of editing that you can do. So, hope this is going to be very useful for you. If you have not used it, so it is not very tough to use it, you can still practice. If you have any doubt on it, you can always write back to me, I will try to solve your query into this. So, with this let us come to the end of this particular lecture, where we talk about in this presentation the bibliometric analysis, the techniques of doing it. Then we talked about the performance analysis and the science mapping. So, where performance analysis normally looked at the publication matrices, citation matrices, which give you some sort of idea about the quality of publication, and where the science mapping is much more deeper into analyzing it, try to see the relationship, try to see the network between the co-authors, the interlinkages between the keywords and the co-occurrence of the keyword. So, which is very essential, and in all such kind of cases we are not going to like get into the detail of the papers, we are not reading the paper, the content. In this case it is a first hand exercise by which you try to identify the emerging thematic clusters, the area where there is a gap or there is some kind of emphasis that is being given, and you can also play with the time duration, like okay, the last 5 years what is the trend, where it is being published, which particular location this study is much more frequent. So, all kind of information without looking at the content you can do through the bibliometric data this analysis. And also I talked about some of the open source bibliometric tool where you can use it, okay, and I have also shown you the demonstration of this the data that I have downloaded from Clarivate, and also like the VOS viewer which help you to make this particular thing. So, with that again thank you for joining this course. So, next up we will move to our next lecture, that is lecture number 13 in the next session, which is on systematic literature review. So, till then thank you, bye bye.